incredibly enlightening. I think we've been exposed to some things that maybe you knew and had forgotten about, things that maybe were in your blind spot. And as a leader, it's been really great to get increase in terms of the arsenal of things that you know or can be exposed to.
So that's what I like of the course, is that they really try to challenge you to think broader and not just in what you're good.
Quite experienced moderators, I must say. I learned quite a lot from them in collaborations with colleagues.
That really made things practical and made you understand, and also ignited certain things in you as a passion.
I got a personal reflection of who I am as a person. That has helped me to understand what a leadership role really is.
I think the biggest topic about responsible leadership and how, regardless of where you are in the organization, responsible leadership is really something that should be conscious in terms of how we do things, even on a day-to-day.
So it's just for leaders to start taking responsibility for their choices, that as a leader, you have to make certain decisions that is out of a place of humbleness.
The overall aspect around reflection has come out for me as very key. Going back, reflecting and applying those reflections in the assignments has been the biggest highlight.
I think the sustainability model was really good. I actually initiated a project when I went back after the first face-to-face block in Stellenbosch and going back to Johannesburg. Started with just a thought, resulted in an action. The culmination is something that we're actually changing what we're doing and changing lives in the school. So for me, that was really good.
Really finding myself as a person. What is it that I stand for, and how that has impact on the people that I'm leading. And that really was one of the biggest things that came up from this course.
Futures thinking for me was very interesting, talking about how volatile the world is that we trade in today and what it could possibly look like in the future and what that impact could be in your own organization, in your own company.
The financial modeling, attending these sessions, the finance sessions, has given me a certain insight in terms of how I can apply it in my decision making.
Being open to listen and listen to learn, be able to listen to try and gather information. Every single situation, opportunity that presents itself is an opportunity for you to learn or to assist and to help to navigate solutions.
I think my perception is very much a continued learning that you're able to bring back into the organization. I think sometimes we're very stuck in a leadership way or a leadership style, and you don't know what else is out there that could actually better you and better your team and better your organization.
A diverse view can actually also stimulate your knowledge and make you look at life in a broader sense.
They will shape the way we lead moving forward. Well, in my case, I cannot go back and lead the same way. I feel like it has transformed the way I will lead in the future.
A lot has changed in how I behave personally as a leader, reflecting on what I do or what I've done or what I'm about to do.
Some of the pre-work that you need to do guides you, understanding that in the first module, knowing where you play, what are some of your weaknesses that come out. You're just doing it for an exercise, you're really willing to learn from it. I'll definitely say that, come in with a passion, coming to listen, coming to get involved, and then you'll leave a changed person.
It's about understanding that whatever you do and talk, the impact that you have to those that are following you. That has become more and more clearer to me, what my role is as a leader and the responsibility that I have to those that are following me.
Immensely valuable. I think people come from different countries, different industries, highlighting their differences and their perspectives really kind of opens you up to a world of different ways of looking at an idea.
Having to sit down with someone from a different country, from a different industry, understand how they do things both professionally and culturally, have really opened my eyes.
I think also just listening to the way different countries operate and look at things helps me, because I also have a footprint in Africa with the businesses that we have. You don't just have a South African element here, you have an African element, which really helps you for the future, well, specifically for me.
Being in a group of people from Malawi, Mozambique, Botswana, we got to learn how some of my colleagues in other parts, neighboring countries, deal with specific issues. And I think that diversity that came through are valuable lessons that I will certainly take home and then apply in making a difference with Namibia Airports Company and hopefully with the rest of the country.
Enlightening.
Humbling.
Amazing.
It has been amazing.
Enriching.
Life-changing. One word with a hyphen.
It is very, very reminiscent to be looking at the video we've just viewed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Henderson, and I'm the Proposal and Design Specialist at Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development, and I will be your pilot for this next hour or so as we navigate through just an information session around a program called the Executive Development Program. I was trying to see the audience because there were some people who are quite familiar with the past participants being interviewed in that clip. And I could see Claire smiling at one of her team members who was also interviewed over there. But it is nicely reminiscent as we can look back and see where people have grown since they've attended that particular program. Without any further ado, I would like to just sort of welcome each one of you to this afternoon session. This week has been quite busy for me, having to do some interviews with prospective candidates. And so I've invited some of them to join us this afternoon as well to get a better understanding and overview of the program. And so I hope that the session today will be both informational and sort of get the proper information around the program, but also helping you to start thinking about your leadership development as such. Ladies and gentlemen, our Senior Director, Professor Chris van der Wulffen, would like me to say a hearty welcome to you. We really appreciate you attending and considering us, Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development, us as one of a possibility of a partner for you on your learning journey as you develop your leadership to greater effectiveness as well. We would be interested to know where you're dialing in from. So if you wouldn't mind, please in the chat, indicate to us where you're dialing in from. I saw Chanel, my colleague, has already said, we are down in Cape Town. Cape Town is today a little bit, it's typical like a baby, you know. If it's not wet, it's windy. But today, Cape Town looks a little bit low on the sun. So wherever you are, please let us know where you're dialing in from as well. Having said hearty welcome, and you can see we've just gone past 2 or 3 minutes past the hour of 12 o'clock. So we are right into the mid-afternoon. And so I apologize if we've taken you away from your lunch table. But please feel free to enjoy a snack as we journey through the rest of the afternoon. On the screen at the moment, you can view the planned agenda for this day. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we've indicated some time frames over there, but we're not going to stick to that pedantically. But that gives us an idea of where we're trying to be within the next hour. I think important to note that I'll share some information around us as an organization, a little bit of information in terms of the program itself and the value add for people. But then we have invited our top student from last year to share some of her insights, as well as the executive leadership integrator, who will share some information later on. I will take us to the end of the program where we will finish up with a Q&A session, and hopefully we'll be able to close at 1 o'clock this afternoon, as we know that most of you are extremely busy in your daily tasks as well. I think it would be a mistake if I don't introduce you to the team. And so I therefore would like to introduce you. And this team is not by an exhaustive team of Stellenbosch University as executive development, but it's the team that will be looking after you should you choose to join us on the executive development program. So on the far left of the slide, you see our channel director, Claire Kelly, who is also a past participant of this program. Then you see myself, Kevin, who is the proposal and design specialist, followed by Samantha Abrams, who is the program manager. I need to stand still with Samantha for a second. Samantha is what I regard as all things admin within this program. So whenever you have any administrative issue, Samantha is the person that will either communicate with you, but also almost your first go-to point from an admin perspective. From a learning perspective, I will introduce someone else very soon, but let's leave that for later. And then last but not least on the slide is Charmaine Mitchell, who is our client relations officer. And Charmaine, for many of you, may have been in contact with you already, just from your point of inquiring about the program, etc. And she's usually the person that liaises with our clients and helping them to have a seamless process as they try to embark on a program with us as well. Now that you know who the team is that you'll be working with, maybe let me say something about who we are as an organization in Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. As you may know, I think most universities are divided into different faculties as such. And we are sitting in our university within the Economic and Management Sciences faculty. And so therefore, like most universities, we also have a satellite campus or satellite campuses. Our satellite campus for the business school is out in Bellville. So it's very often people are quite confused, especially those of you who's dialing in from different countries, which is outside of South Africa, might be confused. I thought Stellenbosch University was in Stellenbosch. Well, we are in Stellenbosch, but our business school is situated in a different town in Stellenbosch called Bellville. Actually, Bellville is another city in the Western Cape as well. But at the business school, we have two divisions. The one division responsible for postgraduate degree programs is commonly known as just Stellenbosch Business School. But then you find us, who is known as Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. And our responsibility is to develop leadership and management short courses for individuals and organizations, but especially for working professionals as well. So as executive development, we are therefore quality assured by the business school, our colleagues at the degree department or postgraduate department, and we are accredited by the Higher Education Quality Council in South Africa. For some regions in Africa, for example, Botswana and Mauritius, we also have some of our courses registered with the Botswana Qualifications Authority as well as the Mauritius Qualifications Authority as well. But in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, evidence of the quality that you will find if you enroll with us for this program is the fact that we are the proud holders of the Triple Crown accreditation, which is a prestigious award held by only about 1% of business schools worldwide. This accreditation is therefore accredited or conjointly awarded by the Association of MBAs, also known as AMBA, the European Foundation for Management Development Quality Systems, also known as EQUIS, as well as the American Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business International, also known as AACSB. Ladies and gentlemen, that certainly indicates to us that whenever you do a program with us, that the quality and the standard is regarded as world-class, and therefore you would not make a mistake to enroll with us for any program. As part of our offering, I thought it might be good to illustrate to you what other programs we are offering at Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. This slide indicates to you what the scope of our comprehensive programs are. And I think the value for organizations is that you can develop your leadership pipeline by allowing some of your employees to embark with programs like this. And so you can see in this slide, we offer for new managers where the focus is mostly on leading the self and how to transition from that self-management into team management. We also offer a program called the MDP, which is aimed at those of managers who now have middle management responsibility. In other words, how do you become more effective at leading others? In other words, transitioning from team management to cross-functional leadership. And then we offer a senior management development program where we're hoping that we will be assisting participants to get more effective at leading a business. And so transitioning from operational management to strategic leadership. And then ultimately, the EDP, the program we're going to be talking about today, where the focus is really on leading in society. In other words, transitioning from strategic internal leadership to outward-focused influence as a leader in society. You will notice that the scope of our programs are always aligned in South Africa, particularly to the complexity of our national qualifications framework, which we in South Africa refer to as NQF levels. And so the programs that we offer is from NQF level 5 to NQF level 8. So NQF level 5 will be the NMDP, MDP, NQF level 6, SMDP, NQF level 7, and then EDP, NQF level 8 as well. So now that you understand what kind of pathways you can craft for employees, let's focus on the program that I said we want to talk about for this afternoon. The program aimed at not only developing people to become better at being an executive, but aimed at helping executives to enhance their effectiveness, to improve their effectiveness as leaders out in society, but also leaders from a global perspective as well. So from a context point of view, I think what is happening in the world at the moment, the wars that we currently are having and the impact of that really make us realize that there's shifting global priorities which leaders need to navigate. These shifting priorities present significant challenges and opportunities, but also demands a shift in mindset and behavior in order for you to lead effectively. So therefore, executive teams will need to appreciate the systemic nature of this shifting landscape, whilst at the same time having to balance their corporate scorecard. I know as South Africans, for example, I think yesterday morning, our petrol price increased and everyone was saying the petrol price has been increased because that's what we do on a monthly basis in South Africa. They really look at that price. But that is without having taken into consideration the fallout of what has been happening of the last couple of days in the world, and particularly within the Middle East. But as an executive, those are the kind of agility you need to demonstrate from dealing with issues like that. In terms of the broader context, though, there's then also a greater emphasis that will be placed on you as a leader on developing new techniques for improving your executive and team level performance as such. Further to that, the executive development program will then also draw on influential leaders from South Africa and across the continent, which will be bound by the pivotal roles in shaping organizational futures. In fact, I don't want to sort of move quickly ahead, but one of the modules that we focus this program on is exactly around how do we deal with organizational futures. And you will notice that futures is the plural form, and not only because my colleagues from future studies emphasize that there are many different futures, but that is what you as an executive leader will have to focus on as well. To help people to navigate all of this, our faculty consists of renowned subject matter experts who will be enriched by the distinguished guest speakers who will also demonstrate extensive multinational expertise. And through doing your pre-reading and looking at the different case studies and examples, which are meticulously curated from the global arena, we will ensure that you will develop a profound international relevance if you really enroll for a program like this. Now, you might be asking, Kevin, yeah, that's the context. So what's in it for me, or what's in it for my organization? So on this slide, just for executives, there's a dual impact for you because it's personal growth that will meet strategic advantage for you. So on the one hand, for an executive, you will develop global perspectives and adaptive thinking, whilst, which is a very strong theme in our university, you improve your leadership ability from just me being an effective leader to becoming a responsible leader. And then lastly, the program will provide great networking opportunities, whilst at the same time providing practical application of the knowledge base. I often see that there's a lot of people applying for the program who already sits with an MBA. There's people applying for the program who already sits with a PhD. So it's not about getting the academic knowledge, but it's about how do we take that knowledge that we've acquired, not only from our experiences, but also from a theoretical basis or formal degree programs we've done. How do we take that and bring that into practicality and reality for lived experiences as a leader? For organizations, on the other hand, we're saying that the advantage for you is it will enhance strategic agility, hopefully as you develop and the kind of scenarios that you'll be put through in your paces will enhance and develop strategic agility. You will gain improved workforce and improve performance of the workforce, whilst at the same time develop a sustainability mindset, but also have an ethical edge in terms of the decisions the organization and the plans that the organization will have to make going forward. So that's a little bit of the context, a little bit of around, so what's in it for you? What's in it for your organization? But I thought, let me stop talking about the program because I've designed the program, but rather let me invite someone who can share from her own experience. And so I have great pleasure in introducing our top student of the 2025 EDP program, Elsje van Rooyen. And I remember Elsje very, very fondly when she applied for this particular program. Elsje currently works at Momentum, and she's been in that industry for quite a number of years, and has demonstrated from being in the space of technology and has transitioned into the leadership space. Elsje has really demonstrated great agility, great ability to reinvent herself. And when she embarked on this program, when I chatted to her, that was certainly one of the things that she has been looking at in terms of how to reinvent myself in my career. And so, Elsje, I'm so pleased to welcome you and ask you to share your experiences with the audience. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, I think if you can unmute your microphones now, and let's give Elsje a rounding applause as we welcome her to the podium. Elsje, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share a few reflections from our own EDP journey. As Kevin introduced me, I'm Elsje van Rooyen from Centurion in Pretoria, close to Pretoria and Gauteng. And I've been with Momentum forever, and currently I'm the project portfolio manager, head of the project management office and the change management office for Momentum Savings, that's part of the Momentum Group. My EDP experience was far more than a leadership course. It was deeply personal and transformative. I would like to share 3 key takeouts from my journey. Firstly, the EDP is a journey that starts with self. What surprised me most was how much of this program was directed towards you, the individual. Your values, assumptions, thinking patterns, and blind spots. Executive leadership demands more than cognitive abilities and emotional intelligence. It requires the courage to reflect honestly. So throughout the EDP, I learned to let questions linger rather than rushing to answers. I learned to listen not only to others, but myself. And I discovered how powerful reflective practices can be in shaping not only what you think, but how you think. My second key takeout was that responsible leadership was the golden thread through every module. So I entered the EDP believing I was a responsible person, I was dependable, ethical, and aware that my decisions have consequences. But the journey expanded that understanding. I began to see responsibility as interconnectedness. The reality that every decision creates a ripple effect across economic perspectives, society, the environment, for now and future generations. This shifted my understanding of leadership from a role to a duty to lead ethically, systemically, and consciously. My third takeaway was the EDP is less about academic learning and much more about transformative learning. So you will be guided by incredible facilitators. They will challenge your thinking models, present ethical dilemmas, and create an environment to engage with the complexity of the future worlds. The EDP is not passive learning. It creates discomfort. It stretches you. It grows you and ultimately transforms you. You will think differently, but more importantly, you will be different. So for those potentially embarking on this program, this will be my advice. Stay open and curious. Your assumptions will be challenged and let them be. That's where growth happens. Connect deeply with your cohort, the facilitators, and the material. The relationships and connections are as valuable as the content. My third piece of advice is make time for this journey. It is rigorous, but the more you put in, the more transformative it becomes. So show up fully. In closing, the EDP helped me become a leader who asks better questions, listens more deeply, and acts with greater responsibility and purpose. So if you choose to embark on this journey, be prepared that it will change you. Not only how you lead, but why you lead. Thank you, Kevin. I'm handing back to you.
Thank you so much, Elsha. Thank you so much. Wow, what a testimony for someone who has done exceptionally well. I know that your time is up, but maybe if I can ask you one question. Just look, you've mentioned that it's very engaged, it's very involved, and all of that. Maybe for those of us who are in the room right now and are thinking about how do I balance, my professional responsibilities with this program. Maybe you have one tip that you can give someone out there?
Yes, make time for this. I think that I was quite selfish. And as project management is one of my disciplines, I actually planned very well. And I think that is where I allowed myself and I offered myself the time for this. And around every submission that we had, I actually took a day and a half leave. And I planned it ahead. So the business just knew. Our team also told me they knew it was for such a short period of time, but afford yourself that luxury to be fully present when you need to be at work and then step away and be fully present in the program.
Thank you so much, Elsha. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, a last round of applause for Elsha as well. Wow, I think very often when we are in executive leadership, we forget that a basic skill like prioritization skills is still very, very important. And I think it is a great testament to your own leadership to be able to show up when you need to. I am fondly reminded, of what people are saying on the aircraft when you board the aircraft, and they tell you in the event of a loss of cabin pressure, to mask that will drop from the panel above you. And then they warn you to put the mask on your own face first before assisting fellow passengers. And I think what Elsha is saying, do that you enroll for the program. Yeah, put the mask on your own face first, so that you can develop yourself and be fully present. Now, someone that is very, very instrumental in the journey that Elsha has described is someone that we refer to as the executive leadership integrator, none other than Mr. Shane Johansson. Shane, so ladies and gentlemen, you will notice that the program consists of different study blocks and obviously different modules, and we'll talk about that detail later. But every day with the subject matter expert, we have a person that sees to your learning. Remember early on, I referred to Samantha as all things admin. So I'm going to refer to Shane as all things learning. So whatever learning need you have, and I'm not talking about an admin need, I'm talking about your learning need, Shane is there to journey with you. So I have great pleasure to introduce Shane. Just before he starts speaking, Shane is a person, is an executive coach, and with a lot of many years of coaching experience, and especially coaching executives as well. And because of that expertise that he brings, he is our executive leadership integrator. Your hands in mine, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome Shane Johansson to the virtual stage. Shane, over to you.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that glowing introduction. It really is just such a privilege, actually, to be able to work with leaders in this particular way. I think it was Pitt Nadir back in the day, said that there are approximately about 1.2 million people that are, within Africa that are residing over, can you believe it, 40% of the world's natural resources. And so it's so important that we're able as leaders to be able to bring our unique strengths, our unique gift, our unique value proposition to the fore. And I think it's Margaret Wheatley that says, without reflection, we go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences and failing to achieve anything useful. That's Margaret J. Wheatley. And so I think what the EDP and specifically this role of Executive Learning Integrator really will help you to do is to actually take the content, and we've got some fantastic facilitators, but to be able to take the content and to be able to look back into my place of work and be able to apply some of those concepts in a very real and a very meaningful way in order to start to see change happening there. The other thing that I think this program really positions us for is that it affords us the opportunity as leaders to be able to pivot in our leadership. So often, we've climbed to the top of the corporate ladder. We've really achieved some amazing success. No one that comes on this program is short of a lovely achievement list, but we kind of get into that place where we start to feel like our leadership just needs something else. We need to break through almost that unseen ceiling that we may have placed on ourselves. And I think reflection is one of those things that actually helps us to do that. Not only will we have, conversations offline, around the lunch table, in the tea time, talking about the content, etc. But the other thing that I get the privilege of doing is actually helping to work with groups. You get divided into syndicates, and we start to tackle some of the bigger problems in the world from a sustainability and a responsible leadership point of view. To start to realize that we've climbed to this place in our leadership and we have a lot of responsibility in the organization, but not only in the organization. What are the decisions we're making and how are they impacting on the world out there? How are we contributing to creating a world that will not only do well today, but a world that will hopefully outlive us. And so in the business-driven action learning projects, you'll get assigned to a team. I have the privilege of being able to work with you. We start to look at what are the things that we can make more sustainable? How do we introduce circular economy would be some of the examples. And then as a team, we put together a thorough proof of concept, a thorough piece of work that then helps us to be able to potentially not only pivot in our own leadership, but very importantly, maybe even help our organizations to pivot in a very meaningful sort of way. So that's some of the joy that I have. I can, just tell you that it's not all easy, but I think when you get to this level, it's not about easy anymore. You've developed the character, you've got the competence, you have the care for your people, which really inspires a lot of trust. To be able to take on some real meat when it comes to making a valuable contribution and finding the next expression of your leadership. And so I think that summarizes in many ways, from looking at, vision and strategic leadership to understanding how to make that responsible, to being able to execute on that in the third block. These are all the pieces that we'll be working with. We have a lot of fun. I believe that it's important for us to have fun while we're doing, tough stuff, having tough, meaningful conversation. We don't always walk out with clear-cut answers. As you know, leadership isn't always about that. But hopefully we'll be able to, through the conversations, through reflection, through, being able to interact with other peers, and then obviously the facilitators who are so gifted, we'll be able to find better clarity to make more informed decisions going forward. And I think that kind of sums it up, Kevin. From my side, it's been, Elsha just spoken, like a true head girl, and she was from the day she walked in. Just lovely to see how she flew through that program. She put in a lot of hard work and many late hours, but it all pays dividends at the end. And so, Kevin, thank you so much just for the opportunity for being able to share those few words.
Thanks, Shane, and thank you so much for sharing some of your wisdom with the audience today. And it's also an absolute joy for us to work with you, and we trust that we can continue that great working relationship. It's a tremendous value that you continuously add to the program as well. Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm mindful of the time, so let's maybe just step into this space where we can talk a little bit around how's the program constructed or sort of rolled out over a period of about 7 months. So the EDP consists of 3 study blocks. So first of all, I think it's important for you to note that the program, like I've mentioned earlier on, is aligned to NCAF Level 8 in South Africa. The program is registered for 7 months. So over that 7-month period, you will have 3 study blocks, which consists of 14 days in total. That is for class attendance. The program is offered as a blended program. And in our space, that means that some classes are in person in Stellenbosch on one of the wine estates, and some classes will be facilitated remotely via the Zoom platform as well. So who is this program aimed at? You've heard me mentioning earlier on that we're aiming at executives who want to enhance, want to further develop their effectiveness as global leaders. So this program is best suited to executives or people working at director or board level who require enhanced cognitive agility, strategic foresight, and leadership skills to navigate global transformation. So it supports the need for executives to do that, but it also enables them to apply cognitive and adaptive thinking, and it will equip you to deploy creative workforce strategies in order to enhance workforce diversity and organizational performance. From an admission point of view, and this is the only program for us at Executive Education where we have a strict admission requirements. And the reason for that, and you can notice, it's not about an academic qualification as a prerequisite, but it's about the level of complexity, the level of influence you have in the organization. And we're trying to put together a cohort of professionals, executives, who can work together so that they can develop each other through the facilitation process of the subject matter experts. But you can appreciate that in the absence of having the appropriate experience, it's very difficult to contribute to that particular process. So this is by no means aimed at creating a program that's elitist in its way, but it's to ensure that we create that space for executives to learn from one another in a formal, structured manner with the input of subject matter experts. Therefore, we're requiring someone who apply for the program to have at least 2 years working as an executive or at the director's level, or also if you, and we understand that different naming conventions in organizations makes it quite difficult to just look at your title or your job title, but therefore we've built in interviews where we are unsure. So you can rest assured if you've applied and your naming convention in your title is not director or anything like that, we will pursue the application by at least setting up an interview with you to get clarity before we make the final decision around admitting you to the program or not. Now, from a learning outcome point of view, the EDP aims to achieve the whole list of outcomes, as you can see over there. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but the issues of responsible leadership, adaptive thinking, complex financial statements, dealing with technology, and developing global perspectives around the ecosystems that you're working in is what comes through in terms of the outcomes that we're hoping to achieve over the 6-month period. We then therefore thought it best to try and achieve those outcomes by including the following modules. And like I've mentioned, the program is then divided into 3 study blocks. And we've then gone and we've sort of themed each study block as such. So the first study block is usually a block that happens in South Africa that will be facilitated on one of the wine farms in Stellenbosch. And for this year, we're going to Asara. When you saw that little video clip earlier on, we were at a different wine estate, but this year we will be at Asara, a wine estate up in Stellenbosch. The first block is then themed responsible leadership, and it will consist of 4 consecutive days of in-person class attendance in Stellenbosch. We discussed responsible leadership, which will be covered over 2 days. We discussed sustainability as a strategic imperative, which will be covered over a day. And then we deal with ethics and governance, including with that board dynamics, which will then also be covered over 1 day. So in total, there will be 4 days of class time. At the end of each block, there's the expectation that you will do a summative assignment. So there will be an individual assignment you will have to submit at the end of that block. By the way, if I say the end, it means that about 3 weeks to a month after the completion of the study block, your assignment will be due. Then when we come back, or when we have the second block is then themed as understanding the world. And I want you just to sort of focus on those themes that I've mentioned already, because it becomes relevant later on when I talk about something else. Now, the second study block consists of 6 days, but those 6 days are divided into little 2-day micro blocks. In other words, the 6 days will be divided into 2 days, for example, for strategy or strategic management, and then we have a break. And then we have 2 days of strategic systemic foresight and future studies, and then we have a short break again. And then lastly, we have a day on global economic trends and technology and innovation, and that will be 2 days as well. So the second block will run over 6 days, and this block will be remotely facilitated, and simply because we don't want to fly people down and back, but we have those 2 days online or remotely, and then there's a break, and then another 2 days with a break, and another 2 days with a break. The last study block, we come back to South Africa, to Stellenbosch, and the last block is then themed as responsible strategic enablement. The modules that will be facilitated is strategic marketing, financial strategy, risk management, which includes managing reputational risk, and then also cyber risk and security. And again, all of those modules are facilitated over 4 days in person in Stellenbosch. And like I've mentioned earlier on, you will do the individual assignments per block. So for each of the blocks, there will be one individual assignment that you have to submit. You'll notice also that during the program, and Elsha also alluded to that, reflective practice is emphasized a lot. And so at the end of the program, you will also submit an individual reflective essay, which will assess your personal development and your leadership journey. And in addition to that, you will also do a group project. And so you will be divided into syndicate teams, and you will then do an industry-wide project with a focus on sustainability that you and your syndicate team would have to embark on. Now, you can see just from that perspective then that the program is quite involved. And so just to help you with the dates of the program, as well. So we will have the orientation on the 27th of May and via Zoom. And then the first block will commence on the 1st of June, and it will go from 1 to 4 June. And like I said, that will be face-to-face or in person. The second block will be for 6 days as indicated. It will be a remote block, and the dates are 20 and 21 July, 27 and 28 July, and then 30 and 31 July as well. And then the last block, you're coming back to South Africa, and this time we're hoping that it will be in springtime, and you will have from the 14th to the 17th of September, you will do that last face-to-face or in-person block here in Stellenbosch as well. I've mentioned that you have to complete a group project. Now, the group project, you have to submit a document as a team, but also as a team, you have to do a presentation, which will be a sales speech to the, sales pitch to a panel who will then assess you on what you had prepared for them. Those presentations, the dry run, as well as the final presentation, will happen remotely and not in person. The program then commences or closes up at the virtual award ceremony, which will be early in December. But don't worry, we will communicate the dates as soon as that is available. Now, as I'm closing this section on the information that you would love to hear, maybe just to share some extra opportunities that may come with this particular program. You would have noticed that I said, watch those themes of the different study blocks. Remember, the first one was responsible leadership, and the other one was understanding the world. Now, at completion, successful completion of the EDP, participants become eligible for recognition of prior learning opportunity to the extent that you can get 30 credits towards the postgraduate diploma in either business management and administration, or in development finance, or in project management. What that leads to is that you will basically get exemption for the responsible leadership module and the understanding the world module, which at the end of the day does sort of translate into some financial benefit in terms from a cost point of view as well. So I think it's important to say that now you begin to understand why there are those requirements of the assignments as well, because we need to certify you as competent, but in addition to that, to ensure that we have this recognition of prior learning allocated, we need to adhere to that as well. Maybe just as a side note, that credit will be valid for 5 years, so you have 5 years to utilize that opportunity as well. Last but not least, in terms of the benefit, is that you become a member of the Alumni Association. And you will notice that on the slide, we're referring to the MDP, SMDP, and EDP. Now, remember right at the beginning, I was talking about our comprehensive programs the totality of them. So from MDP onwards up to the EDP, at successful completion, the participant become a member of the Alumni Association. I'm about to close, ladies and gentlemen, but I think I want to maybe just talk to you about one final opportunity, which is we are also able for different organizations who may want to do an executive development program as part of preparing people for executive leadership. We are also able to do such a program as an in-house offering for a specific organization. The advantage of doing an in-house offering is the fact that it will be targeted to your needs, will become exclusive to that organization's needs, and is therefore customizable. In other words, we can then build in different elements that might not be in the generic program, but we can then bring in different elements and immersions that will add value. We become very flexible in terms of the delivery mode, which is you can then either choose to have every aspect of it remotely or every aspect of it in person, without losing the credibility of the program as such. And so as I conclude, just to say that from that perspective, you will still have contextual relevance. In other words, there's customizable components, which will be industry relevant, case studies that's specific to your organization. The module outcomes can then therefore be aligned, but there will also be individual and group projects, assignment topics that will be specific for your organization. In addition to that, there can be targeted enhancements, which simply means that we can, for example, bring in additional leadership coaching and group sessions. We can do additional masterclasses on topics that become critical at an outcome of that. And then lastly, our delivery is also very flexible. In other words, like I've mentioned before, you would be able to then do it in person, in other words, or all of it as blended, all of it in person, but also all of it remotely, or even build in online modules into that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the presentation. I have noticed in the chat there were a couple of questions asked. One question that did caught my eye was the one on what's the difference between an MBA and the EDP. And so I think from a content point of view, there will be significant difference in terms of just the quantity of the information. The MBA, I think on a part-time basis, a 2-year program. So just in the quantity of the information, stuff around statistics and the types of knowledge modules that you will bring in. The EDP is not about an academic qualification, but the EDP is to take some of those elements from an MBA program and bring it into practical application for leaders who want to become more effective as such. And so, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, may I open the floor to respond to any questions you may have. Just need to put it like this. Yeah, okay, here we go. Maya, I think the recordings will be shared with you. I think everyone, Charmaine, will already have the list, and they will make this available to everyone who attended today as well. Jenna, don't worry, we will bring up our contact detail. I can see yours as well. So Charmaine, I think that will be something for you and for Claire to pay attention to. Jenna is interested in looking at the in-house solution of an EDP as well. Jenna, do you mind just maybe telling us which organization you're from? Jenna's not. Okay. Okay, I'm just going through the chat to see if there's any other questions. I haven't seen anyone's hand raised yet. Okay, Shane. Okay. Alsha had to also excuse herself. Okay, Gail is saying, Gail de Wet. Gail, are you still around? Okay. Oh, okay, Gail is not responding, but I suppose Gail de Wet, she's provided us with the email address, Western Cape gov.za, and she's really interested in having a seamless process. So that's what we're known for. Yes, we will do that. Okay. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't look like, if I've missed a question, please forgive me. Like I said, there is an opportunity for you to raise your hand and ask a question if you want to, and we will attempt to answer that as well.
Kevin, there's a question from Alex. Is this a postgrad dip? We can just clarify that it is not.
What is the question?
Is this a postgrad dip, a postgraduate diploma?
No, it is not, Alex. The program is a short course, not a qualification. A postgrad diploma would be a formal qualification. This is not a formal qualification. It's registered as a short course. I hope that clarifies for you. Good. You're welcome, Tabitha. There's another question popping out. Alex, thanks. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, I know, Professor Marius Dimbi.
Yeah, it's just to answer the previous caller speaker who is asking if this is a postgraduate. In my opinion, it's not a postgraduate diploma, but they are both on the same NQF level, which is level 8.
That's
I think
correct.
that is very important. If you get this, you will graduate with level 8. If you take the postgraduate diploma, you will graduate with level 8. So I think that's important.
Okay, thanks, Prof. Thanks for clarifying that. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, I think if there's nothing else, then I would like to say thank you very, very much for the time invested this afternoon with us. We trust that it has provided greater credibility or greater clarity in terms of what you're looking for. And if there's any other needs that you still have, please do not hesitate to contact us. The slide that you are currently seeing is the contact detail. You will notice the person that I've introduced to you earlier this morning, Charmaine, her information is up there first. Please drop her an email or you can contact her on those numbers. But in the different countries, we also have countries as listed here. We also have sort of in-country partners that works with us over there. So in Kenya, we have Kenneth Kamani, that's Kenneth's detail there. In Namibia, we have Rudolf Philander, and you can see Rudolf's detail there. In Botswana, we have One Golding, and you can contact One over there. And in Ghana, we have Selassie Tay, and you are more than welcome to contact Selassie. And then in Zambia, we have Muchono Munze, who you can contact as well for further information. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything further, and we appreciate that you could attend this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon, and may we experience better days going forward in the world in spite of the wars that are raging around us as well. All the best. Kerry, I see your hand.
Hi there. Thanks, Kevin. I apologize that I don't have my camera on. My camera is not working. So I'm just speaking to the Prof's last comment regarding the NQF 8 and the PGDIP. So just to clarify for everyone that this is a short course. It is absolutely not an academic program. So just to be very, very clear on that, there is, as Kevin mentioned, recognition of prior learning opportunities via credit exemption from this short course EDP program to the postgrad. in business management. So I just wanted to make doubly sure on that. Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.